And it is not the issue of the right and wrong, but we certainly will find professional advice from Director Center for International Advance and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Kila, who is here with us this morning. Nice to see you, really.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Right. There are lots of apprehension amongst Nigerians when they hear that amnesty, sort of amnesty kind of, has been granted to those who have been said to have been de-radicalized,
yes,
you know, after a period of time, who were members, known members of Boko Haram and all of that. Talk to us generally and make Nigerians understand, is there anything to fear?
Well, there is something to fear. You talk about amnesty. The essence of amnesty, from the word amnesia, from Latin, is to forget, you know, is to forgive people and to forget their sins. That in itself is controversial. In this case, it is beyond amnesty. It is also re-engaging them, and it is actually rewarding them, at least uplifting their life. Now, and there's a bill, I guess that is why people are talking about it now. There's somebody has raised a bill, the former governor of Yobe State, who has raised a bill in the legislative arm of government. People are concerned because, you see, for starters, this is a very controversial thing and we're not treating it very well. I think that proposing this reward scheme for former Boko Haram fighters, captured, by the way, not voluntarily surrendered, there's something about it that, to put it very mildly and in a very polite way, because it's early morning, we must say that the initiative is politically incorrect, it is intellectually and logically flawed, and morally unsustainable as an initiative. And that is me being very mild about it. You see, because it is politically incorrect, because those who make laws, those who are elected and nominated to act for the people, should be acting for majority of the people. That should be their interest. And they should be acting in the interest of those who have supported the state, those who are striving hard within the confines of the law to make a living, not those who are destroying the state. It is logically and intellectually wrong, because I'm assuming that this idea of a kind of scheme for Boko Haram people is based on the experience of the Niger Delta.
Right.
So we've done it before in the Niger Delta, we're doing it here. It's another kind of insurgency. But you see, and here comes the mental shallowness in the argument. The people of Niger Delta, who have a lot of problem with the amnesty as well, but there's a difference. They were asking for a better living condition in Nigeria. Their argument was that our life is bad because the natural resources of our region is taken away from us, and we are left with the evil of such process. So therefore, give us our share. The contract is that the state says, yes, we understand we have failed you, so therefore let us try to compensate you. The Boko Haram people are not asking for a better living condition in Nigeria. They reject Nigeria, they want an Islamic state, they reject Western education, they reject everything secular. So there's no idea to say, because you reject Nigeria.
But one would say, those arguments, because we've had some of the most prominent emirs in the north who say that these arguments that is fronted by those elements doesn't represent what the true people in the north are. Because when they talk about the issue of reject Western education, we reject Nigeria and all of that, it's just a facade. It's just a smoke screen for the real thing.
Yeah, but that is fine. But the real people of the north, represented by the emirs and the sultan, are not Boko Haram. And that's the point. So the real people are looking for education. Who are the victims of the Boko Haram action? Soldiers that are being killed, plus their families. Normal people that are now victims of fatherless and motherless and wifeless and husbandless. So in scale of priority, if Nigerian government had $10, 10 naira to deal with the issue, they should start with victims, soldiers. Last on their list should be the Boko Haram people. The Boko Haram people, the best they should get is that you won't go to jail or you won't be killed because you've killed somebody. You see, and because this is the point, even if you gave them houses and you employ them, there's no guarantee that they will change their mind. And if they're going to change their mind, it won't be because you've given them a place. There's a paradox here, it's a very big one. The reason they're doing by saying that repentant Boko Haram should be now be part of the army, should be in the deal. If we go along this line, then very soon we're going to be employing Yahoo boys to EFCC. And perhaps whilst we're at it, we'll get kidnappers to join DSS. And whilst we're at it, if you want to get a job with the Nigerian police force, the first thing to do is to be an armed robber. Then after you've been armed robber, then when they arrest you, you confess, then they employ you to be a police force. In the meantime, all the people who have kept on a good life, who wake up 5 a.m. in the morning to go and look for a job, or leave their faraway places at 4 a.m. to resume at 7, they have nothing for it. This idea is a symptom of a failed state. A good state has to have legitimate superior force over insurgents and terrorists at all times. And I tell you what, we have this idea in this country of doing things as if we're the first to do it in the world. Elsewhere in the world, there have been deals with terrorists. We've had it in the United Kingdom, of Ireland. But because of the nature of it, those deals are even kept secret. It's not something you go out to do because it's an admission that the state had failed. If the state cannot face terrorists, cannot face organized crime by legal, transparent means, the best they can do is quietly, covertly try to talk to them to reduce damage. The idea of going to the legislative arm of government and raising an agency and getting a bill to say, let us use it to reintegrate criminals, shows you the state has failed. And I do pray that somebody gets that sense in their head.
Wow. Okay, well, the way the professor has painted the picture, there's really a source of concern there. Well, thank you very much, Professor Anthony Kila, for your time on the program.
International Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Kila. Thank you for joining us on
Glad to
TVC
have you
Breakfast.
join us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's I'll throw the question back to you now. Do repentant Boko Haram terrorists, repentant or not, de-radicalized or not, do they deserve the amnesty?
Well, amnesty is a prerogative of the government. Amnesty means we forgive you and we don't punish you anymore. And I think what we're talking about here goes beyond amnesty. It's forgiving them and actually giving them a start in life. You are talking of giving them jobs and money and perhaps really, giving them all the things that every good man in life is hoping for: job, money, shelter, and everything you want in life. I've had cause to say elsewhere, and I repeat that I think the idea, and I think we're talking about it now because a senator who's the former governor of Yobe State is proposing it in the Senate. And I think the best you can see of this is this idea is politically incorrect. It's logically and intellectually flawed and is morally unsustainable, is my take on it. Because it's something that really tells you that the state is failing and the state does not represent the people. Because if you look at it, politically, those who are elected or nominated to serve Nigeria should be doing what the people of Nigeria want, starting from the good people of Nigeria, not from the bad ones. So I do not think the good people who are being terrorized by Boko Haram are hoping that those representing them spend Nigeria's money on Boko Haram.
All right, so some who said that perhaps a criminal tribunal and not amnesty might be the proper way to go.
Well, a criminal tribunal, why? Because they've committed crime. Why do another tribunal for them anyway? Thou shalt not kill, they have killed. The law says thou shalt not inflict pain on people. They've inflicted pain on people. I think our emphasis should be on reinforcing the military. Let them be able to win the war. If we have extra money to spend, the money should be on the people who are displaced. It should be on children who have become fatherless because of Boko Haram. It should be on husbands and wives who have lost their spouses because of Boko Haram. It should be to build buildings that Boko Haram have destroyed. You see, the risk here, this thinking, and this is where it is logically flawed and morally unsustainable, is that the idea that if you want something in Nigeria, you go to the extremes. First, you throw a bomb, then you get what you want. It's a very dangerous precedent, a very dangerous mindset. It does not encourage normalcy. It does not encourage hardworking, diligent, conforming, obedient people. What it encourages is everybody to take the law in their hand. And by the way, the Boko Haram people are held together by identity, by ethos. So what you're telling us now is that that same identity that put them together is now rewarding them after that. Because we're not thinking of amnesty for unemployed, hardworking person who wakes up 4 a.m. in the morning looking for a job and going from place to place. We're doing amnesty and reintegration for somebody who has done something evil. It just doesn't make sense. And this is a symptom of a weak and failing state.
Now, but when we look at the Nigerian government on one hand,
Yes.
with the array of security agencies around it that are meant to coerce, the instrument of coercion that the
Yes.
government has, do you see them as having that capacity the way you are describing it?
Well, this is the thing. You can only know after they've succeeded.
Okay.
I mean, but the
So
common...
if they don't succeed,
Then you
ca-
say they
can
don't
one
have
con-
it.
can
So
one
are you
conclude
saying
that,
that because we've been fighting for like over a decade now that we don't seem to have the capacity, by now we should have succeeded?
Well, let me put it this way. If you live in your house on an estate and robbers keep making their way in, surely you want to change the megad. Say, you know, let's change the way we've secured
Let something change.
Let
Let's
something
see.
change. That is just a commonsensical approach. I heard you asking Kelechi earlier on that there was a premise saying that Nigerian security forces perform well outside Nigeria. How come they don't perform well in Nigeria? Well, one thing is missing. If it's same people doing well elsewhere, and what is missing is the government. That means they're not taking Nigerian government outside. So maybe we should see what they're doing outside where it is working. But the onus is on the military, the security people themselves to come and say, these are the challenges we're facing. The reason why we're able to do well in Congo and Sierra Leone or wherever we've gone through is because this is the system we used. And here, this is not there, or on the other side, this is the hurdle that we're facing.
Okay.
They should speak up for themselves as professionals as well. But in the meantime, we should just assume they're not good enough.
Whoa.
Wow. Professor Anthony Kila,
Thank
well, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.